The marketplace of Kara 7, a dusty alien trade post at the edge of the galaxy, was full of voices. Traders shouted, machines buzzed, lights blinked, but in one dark corner, behind a broken vending unit and near a trash chute, at a small forma, silent figure, no one noticed her. She was just a child, maybe 7 or 8 years old in Earth years. Her skin was a soft shade of violet blue, dry and cracked in places. Her clothes were torn, barely enough to cover her thin arms and legs. She was sitting with her knees pulled to her chest, eyes wide but lifeless, lips too dry to speak loudly, but she whispered anyway. "Milk, please, a little milk." She said it again and again, not shouting, not demanding, just whispering with hope that someone would hear her, someone kind, someone different. But this place had no kindness left. Aliens of all shapes walked by. Tall ones with glass helmets. Short, bug-like ones with 6 legs. One even kicked the empty can near her feet. None stopped. None cared. Hunger, in this part of the galaxy, was common and mostly ignored. And then, a pair of boots stopped. The girl looked up, very slowly. Her neck was stiff. Her head was heavy. She blinked twice, her vision blurred by dust and pain. A human. He was tall. Not like the warriors, but not weak either. He wore a gray jacket with grease stains and had a datapad hanging from his belt. His face had a little scar on the chin and his eyes. They looked tired, but not cruel. His name was Jack Tavern. Just a mechanic. A nobody, really. Here for parts, tools, and fuel. He had been walking to his ship when he heard something like a song, almost but cracked and broken. He heard the word milk. He froze. Something about that small voice pulled at him. He looked around. People were rushing past. No one cared. No one even looked. But he looked. He took a step closer, kneeling slowly. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The girl blinked again. Her throat moved as if to speak, but no sound came. She looked at his bag, the one with a water bottle hanging from its hand, reached out. Fingers shaking, Jack quickly pulled out the bottle and opened it. "Here, water first." She grabbed it like a dying plant reaches for rain. She drank fast, too fast. She coughed, choked a little, but smiled. Her tiny teeth were cracked. Her lips were bleeding, but she smiled anyway. "T.H. Thank you." She whispered. Jack frowned. He looked around again. Still no one cared. But a few eyes were watching now. Watching him. Helping her, he asked, "Where's your family?" The girl's face changed. Her smile vanished. She looked down. Her fingers tightened around the bottle. "Taken," she said. Jack's heart sank. "Name?" he asked. "Iria." She looked so tired, he thought. So small. He couldn't leave her here. But what could he do? He was just a worker. No power, no right to interfere. Helping an unregistered alien child could bring trouble from both traders and local patrols. Still, he remembered something. His own daughter. She had died young, years ago, back on Earth. Fever. No medicine. No help. He looked at Arya again and saw the same helpless eyes. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Wait here," he said. She watched him go. For a moment, she thought maybe it was a trick. That he wouldn't come back. That no one ever really did. But 5 minutes later, Jack returned with a sealed pack of protein paste and a small milk pouch. She saw the milk and gasped. She reached for it carefully, like it might disappear. Jack tore the top open and gave it to her. She drank it slowly this time. She let the sweetness sit on her tongue. It had been years. Real milk, not spoiled scraps, she cried, not loudly, not with screams. Just soft tears running down her dry cheeks. Jack sat beside her. "I can't stay long," he said. "But you shouldn't be alone like this." She wiped her face. "Will you come again?" He paused. That was the question, wasn't it? He stood. "I don't know," he said, honestly. "But I'll try." She nodded. "Thank you for listening." No one else had. Not one person. But the human did, and that small act was the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could understand. Asterisk. Jack couldn't sleep that night back inside his ship. The glider Fox, the lights were dim. Engines cooling and soft hums filled the air. But Jack's mind was still stuck in the market. And with her, ERIYA, that little blue-skinned girl with dry lips and two big eyes. He had brought her milk and food. She had cried. She had smiled. And then he walked away. Just like everyone else. But her voice stayed. With him, her whisper, "Will you come again?" It echoed like a broken bell in his chest. He turned in his bunk, eyes wide open. He stared at the ceiling for hours, remembering her hands shaking as she held the milk. Remembering the look in her eyes when she thought he wouldn't come back, he sat up. Damn it. He couldn't leave her there, the next morning, before sunrise. Jack slipped out of his ship. The crew was still sleeping. No one noticed him. He made his way back to the same market corner. The trash bin was still there. The shadows looked the same. But she wasn't there. He looked around. His heart dropped. Iria. He whispered, no answer. He searched nearby alleys, peered behind broken crates. Even checked the trash, shoot his stomach twisting with every second. And then he heard something. A soft cough. From behind a pile of cloth and metal scraps, he moved. Closer, there she was, curled up, arms around her knees, head on her lap. Her eyes barely opened when she saw him. "You came?" she said weakly. Jack kneeled fast. "You okay?" She shook her head slowly. "Sick. Stomach hurts." He cursed under his breath and picked her up gently. She didn't resist. She didn't have the strength. Her body was warm, but not in a good way. "Fever. I got you." He whispered. He pulled his jacket over her to hide her small form and hurried back through the alleys. He didn't stop until he reached the back door of his ship. He tapped the code and the hatch opened. Inside, the glider Fox felt safer. Jack carried Iria to his private rooms, small but clean. He placed her on the cot and gave her water again. Then he checked her temperature with his scanner. High. Dangerous. She needed help, but he couldn't report her to medical. The ship followed galactic border laws. Any unregistered alien found on board would be reported and likely removed or worse. Sold to trade markets, he couldn't risk it. So he decided something that would change everything. He would hide her for the next 2 days. Jack stayed close to his room. He skipped engine checks, missed lunch with the crew, and even faked a shoulder injury to avoid patrol duty. He cooked soft food for Iria, mostly warm broth and protein mash. She slept most of the time. Her body slowly regained strength. He told her stories when she couldn't sleep. Simple ones about Earth's blue oceans and trees taller than towers. Iria listened quietly, sometimes smiling. She said she had never seen an ocean. Jack promised, "Someday, maybe you will." On the 3rd day, she was strong enough to sit up. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. Jack paused. He didn't know how to explain it. Maybe it was because of his daughter gone too soon? Maybe it was because the galaxy was cold. And he didn't want to be part of that coldness anymore. Because someone should. He finally said. She looked at him for a long time. Then she whispered, "You're not like the others." Jack smiled. Faintly, "You either?" Later that night, Jack opened his storage locker. Inside were extra clothes, tools, blankets. He fixed up a little corner behind the engine room, soft blankets, water tubes, and a dim light. "Your new spot?" he said. Iria looked at it like it was a palace. Her own space, safe, warm. She crawled in and lay down, smiling. Jack stood there, arms crossed, watching. He knew he couldn't hide her forever. He knew it would get harder. But for now, she was safe. And sometimes, that's all that matters. For 2 more days, Jack kept Iria hidden in the engine storage room. It was dark and small, but quiet, safe. She called it her nest. Jack brought her food at night. Simple things: soft bread, mashed fruit, sometimes a pouch of warm milk. She smiled every time. He even found her drawing on the wall with a piece of broken wire. Simple shapes: stars, a little ship, and 2 stick figures, one big, one small, holding hands. He smiled. "That me and you." She nodded shyly. "You look tall." Jack chuckled. "You made me better looking too." But outside that room, danger grew. The glider Fox was preparing for takeoff. Their repairs were complete. The next stop, ZR9, a strict military checkpoint planet. Scans, patrols, and rules. Lots of rules, and Iria didn't exist on any system. If she was found, she wouldn't be called a child. She'd be labeled a stowaway. Or worse, dash property. Jack sat at his repair station pretending to focus on engine readings, but his mind was elsewhere. What if she sneezed too loud? What if someone saw her shadow? What if Jack? He jumped. It was Carmen, the assistant engineer. She tossed him a data pad. "You sleeping with your eyes open again?" Smiled nervously. "Just thinking." She rolled her eyes. "Well, think faster." "Captain wants a full check before jump." Jack nodded and walked away too fast. Carmen frowned. Jack wasn't usually nervous. She didn't follow, but something felt off. That night, Jack slipped back into the engine room. Eria was curled up, wearing a small blanket like a cape. She smiled when she saw him. "I made a song," she whispered. "A song." She nodded and hummed a soft melody. It was gentle, like wind moving across glass. Sad but beautiful. Jack sat beside her, listening. "What's it about?" She thought for a moment. "It's about stars that are lonely, until one finds another." Jack didn't say anything, but his chest felt heavy. Later, as Jack returned to his bunk, he noticed something: footsteps. He turned the corner quietly and saw Carmen near the storage room door. She was staring at the floor. Jack's heart pounded. He stepped in quickly. "Hey!" Carmen turned fast, eyes narrowing. "Hey!" He tried to stay calm. "Something wrong?" She hesitated. "I heard a sound earlier." Like humming, Jack forced a smile. "Maybe the fuel pipes. They sing sometimes." She didn't laugh, sounded like a voice. Jack stepped between her and the door. "You need something?" Carmen paused, then shrugged. "No, just looking." She walked away. Jack waited until she disappeared down the hall. Then he entered the storage room quickly. Iria was hiding under a blanket, eyes wide. "It's okay," he whispered. She didn't see, but his hands were shaking. The next day, Jack spoke with the captain. He tried to ask quietly, what might happen if, theoretically, someone helped a lost alien child. The captain's answer was sharp. Against law. Against contract, ship gets fined. Person gets arrested. If the alien's from a banned sector, even worse. Jack nodded, pretending it was just a question, but his stomach turned. That night, as the ship entered hyperspace, the engines roared, softly like ocean waves. Iria couldn't sleep. She crawled out of her nest and tiptoed down the hallway. She passed dark walls and blinking panels. She stopped at the viewing deck. The glass showed thousands of stars stretching across space. She placed her hand on the window. "So many," she whispered. A voice behind her said, "You shouldn't be here." She gasped and turned. Carmen. The woman stood with her arms crossed, eyes locked on Area. "Who are you?" she asked softly. Lrya backed up. "I." Then Jack ran in. He froze when he saw both of them. Carmen's eyes widened. "She's real." Jack stepped forward quickly. "Carmen, wait please. You brought her aboard." She was starving, abandoned, just a kid. Carmen looked at Area again. The girl looked small, scared, but not dangerous. "She's just a child." "Yes," Jack said. "That's all." Carmen looked at Jack. "You know what happens if the captain finds out?" Jack nodded. "I know." Silence filled the hallway. Then Carmen sighed. "I won't tell." Jack blinked. "You won't?" "I'd do the same, if it were me." Area whispered, "Thank you." Carmen smiled softly. "Get her back before anyone else sees." And Jack, "Yes. Be careful. Not everyone on this ship has a heart." As Jack carried Area back to the nest, he felt lighter but still not safe. Now 2 people knew. How many more before it? All fell apart. But tonight, Area was safe again, and her soft song filled the room once more. 3 days into hyperspace. Everything was calm. The glider Fox flew like a silver bullet through the star lanes, her engines humming steady. Most of the crew had gone back to their normal routines. The tension of the last port faded, but Jack felt no peace. Now 2 people knew about Area himself. And Carmen. And he didn't know how long that secret would stay safe. Area stayed hidden. In the engine storage room. She played with wires, old tools, and broken data pads. She liked pretending she was the captain of a tiny ship. Her giggles were soft. She whispered the names of stars. But her world was small. Too small. She wanted to help. "Let me fix something," she said. One evening, Jack smiled. "Fix what?" "I can carry tools, or clean. I'm smart. I learned fast." He crouched down beside her. "I know you're smart, kiddo, but you can't be seen." She lowered her eyes. "I just want to do something good." Jack looked at her, this tiny life who just wanted to belong. She reminded him of his daughter more and more every day. "Okay," he said finally. "One small thing." Her eyes lit up. The next day, Jack took Area with him to the lower repair bay. It was the quietest part of the ship. Hardly anyone came there unless something was broken. He gave her gloves that were too big and showed her how to clean the tools. She focused hard, tongue sticking out, wiping each metal piece like it was treasure. Jack laughed. "You clean better than half the crew." Area grinned. "I'm learning." But just then, everything changed. A sharp alarm blared across the ship. "Warning. Asteroid field detected." The calm hum of the ship was replaced by a loud buzz. The lights flickered. "Red, shields at 80%. Collision possible in 14 minutes. The system voice said. Jack stood up fast. "I have to check the reactor valves. Stay hidden, okay?" Area nodded quickly, crawling behind a storage bin. Jack grabbed his tools and ran toward the main valve. Hatch. The lower deck shook. Small rocks had already hit the ship. Nothing fatal yet. But it was getting worse. Jack reached the hatch and opened the panel. Steam hissed out. The coolant line was loose. If he didn't fix it, the engines might overheat. The ship could slow down, or worse, be hit full force. He got to work, twisting. Wires, ceiling pipes, hands moving fast. Suddenly, loud crash. The deck shook violently. Jack lost balance and fell sideways. A sharp metal shard slashed across his arm. He groaned in pain. Blood soaking through his jacket. His vision blurred, and he dropped the tool. And then he heard her voice. "Jack." He looked up. Eriya had come. Out from hiding? No, he shouted. Go back. But she ran to him. You're bleeding. I'm fine, go. She didn't listen. She pressed her small hands on his arm, trying to stop the blood. Stay with me, she said, panicking. I'm okay. He lied. But he wasn't. He was going to pass out. That's when Kalmun arrived. She had followed the emergency beacon from the tool sensors, and there she saw Eriya holding Jack's arm. Blood all around, tears on her face. What happened? Help. Him, Eriya cried. Carmen dropped beside them, grabbing the medkit from her belt. She worked fast, injected coagulant, wrapped Jack's wound tight. Jack blinked slowly. Is it bad? You'll live, Carmen said, forcing a smile. But you're lucky she was here. Jack looked at Eriya. So small. So brave. You saved me. Eriya nodded, but tears ran down her cheeks. You helped me, she whispered. I had to help you. They carried Jack to his bunk. Carmen updated the ship logs, leaving out one detail: the stowaway. But she said something to Jack before leaving his room. You can't hide her much longer. Jack knew she was right. Eriya had risked herself for him. She wasn't just a secret anymore. She was family that night. Jack lay in bed, arm wrapped, body weak. Eriya sat beside him, holding his hand. She hummed her little song, the one about lonely. Stars. Jack smiled. You're not a burden, he said quietly. You're my light in the dark. And in her eyes, he saw hope again. Hope that had been gone for a long, long time. The next morning came with silence. The glider Fox had cleared the asteroid field, but the ship was still on alert. 2 hull panels were damaged. 1 coolant pipe was barely holding. But the engines worked, and the crew was alive. Jack stayed. In his bunk, arm tightly wrapped. The wound was healing, but the pain still burned. Carmen had brought him extra bandages and some water. Eriya sat quietly beside him, her hands folded, her head low. Jack tried to smile. You were very brave. She didn't smile back. I made trouble, she whispered. I broke the rule. I left my hiding place. Jack reached out and touched her hand. You saved my life, Eriya. That's not trouble. That's family. Her lips trembled, but neither of them knew what was coming next. 1 hour later, the intercom buzzed. Engineer. Jack Tavern, report to the command deck immediately. Jack and Eriya looked at each other. He sat up slowly, his side aching. Stay here, no matter what. She nodded. But her eyes were full of fear. The command deck was quiet. 2 quiet Captain Reason stood near the central map table, arms crossed. He was a tall man, silver streaks in his hair, uniform spotless. His eyes were sharp, cold, and always watching. Carmen stood nearby, looking tense. Jack stepped in, trying to act normal. You called for me, Captain. The captain turned slowly. I did. Step forward. Jack obeyed. The captain held up a data pad. On the screen was a still image area, helping Jack in the lower bay dot the security camera. Jack froze. Captain Reason's voice was ice. Care to explain this? Jack opened his mouth, but no words came out. The captain continued. You smuggled an unregistered alien onto my ship. You violated safety laws, put this crew at risk, and lied in your reports. Jack looked down. I didn't plan to. I found her starving. She's just a child. She's not in the system, which means she's not protected. Do you know what could happen to this ship if Border Patrol finds her? Jack nodded slowly. Yes, sir. She's not your responsibility. She is now. The captain stared at him. Jack stood taller. I gave her food. I gave her shelter. She saved my life. I won't throw her away like trash. The silence stretched. Then the captain walked toward him. Slowly, "You're leaving me with a choice," Reason said. "I either report this and lose you both, or I cover it up and break the law myself." Jack didn't move. "Then break it." Carmen looked up, shocked, but Jack kept his eyes on the captain. "She's not cargo. She's not a criminal. She's a kid. A good one." There was silence. Then the door opened, to everyone's surprise. Iria stepped in. She was holding Jack's scarf, trembling slightly. "Please, don't punish him," she said softly. Jack's eyes widened. "Iria, I told you," she walked forward. "I came because I want to help." She looked at the captain. "I can clean. I can fix small tools. I'm not dangerous. I'm not bad. Just let me stay. I'll earn my place." Her voice shook, but she stood firm. Captain Reason watched her, then looked at Jack. "Is this the same girl who saved you?" Jack nodded. "Yes." Reason looked back at Iria. "What's your name?" She took a deep breath. "Iria, your parents." She looked down. "Gone." The captain sighed then. He did something unexpected. He walked to the wall panel and locked the door. "No cameras," he muttered, then turned to them. "Fine." Jack blinked. "What?" "I said fine. She stays. But under one condition." "Anything," Jack said. "She works quiet jobs. No attention. If we reach a station and patrol comes on board, she hides. We're not running a shelter." Jack nodded fast. "Agreed." Iria smiled. Captain Reason looked at her once more. "You cause trouble." "You're gone." Iria nodded. "I won't." The captain turned away. "Get out before I change my mind." Jack grabbed Iria's hand and walked out quickly, heart racing. Back in the engine room, Jack hugged her tight. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "I wanted to," she replied. "I'm not afraid anymore," for the first time. She felt like part of the crew. Later that night, Iria had her own ID tag home made by Jack. It wasn't official, but to her, it meant the world. Astra's days turned into weeks. The glider Fox continued its journey through deep space, hopping from one trade zone to the next. But inside the ship, something had changed. Iria was no longer hiding in shadows. Now, she was part of it. She woke up early every morning, folding her blanket neatly, brushing her short violet hair, and reporting to Jack like a junior crew member. Her first task was cleaning tools in the lower bay. She did it with full focus, even humming softly while working. Carmen noticed, "She takes more pride in this job than half the rookies we get." She joked. Jack smiled. "She wants to prove herself." And she did every single day. Soon, she learned how to sort repair parts by color and shape. Jack taught her how to read simple numbers on the control panels. She learned fast. She asked questions. She even made her own labels with tiny drawings so she could remember better. The crew began to notice. At first, they were careful around her, unsure, quiet. But then one day, during a meal break, Burke, the bulky cargo loader, dropped his protein cube and Iria, picked it up, cleaned it, and handed it back with both hands. "No germs now," she said with a smile. Burke blinked, then laughed loudly. "She's got manners." After that, things began to shift. Carmen gave Iria her own small toolkit painted purple, Achaea's favorite color. Burke taught her how to lift boxes safely, like a real worker. He said, "Even the ship's cook, grumpy old Renner, let her taste. Test his meals. Tell me if it's gross," he growled. She always smiled and said, "It's better than dust." Renner laughed every time. But the moment that truly changed everything happened one evening. A crew member named Tarlis, a tall, insectoid alien with delicate nerves, had fallen sick. No medicine helped. His species was sensitive to sound too much noise, and their bodies could shut down. He lay in the medbay, shaking and weak. Even soft ship noises hurt him. The medic tried everything. Nothing worked until Arya walked in. She remembered something. "My mother used to sing. A sleep song," she whispered. The medic didn't stop her. She sat near Tarlis and began to hum. The sound was soft like wind over water, gentle and smooth. Her voice wove through the air like silk threads. Within minutes, Tarlis stopped shaking. He closed his eyes and slept. Everyone in the medbay stood frozen. Jack's eyes were full of tears. "She's incredible," the medic whispered the next day. The captain called her to the bridge. Not to scold, to thank. "You've made a difference here," Captain Reeson said. "Don't make me regret this." Arya stood tall. "I won't." He handed her a small badge. Not official, but real metal with the ship's logo on it. "Your crew now," he said. She held it like it was made of stars. Back in the engine room, Jack found her crying softly. "Hey, what's wrong?" Oh, she looked up, smiling. "Nothing. These are happy tears." Jack knelt down and hugged her tight. "You earned it, Arya. You gave this crew something special. You gave us hope." She nodded. "And you gave me milk." When no one else listened, they both laughed. It wasn't just about the food anymore. It was about being seen, being cared for, being loved. That night, the crew had a small celebration. Not loud. Just a few lights, some shared snacks, and soft music. Arya danced barefoot and free with a scarf tied like a cape. Carmen joined her, then Burke. Even the captain watched with a small smile. The Glider Fox wasn't just a ship anymore. It was home. Months had passed. The Glider Fox now moved like a heartbeat in space, strong, steady, and alive. Every part of the ship felt warmer, every hallway brighter, and wherever there was light. There was Eriya. She had grown taller. Her cheeks were fuller, her eyes brighter. She wore a small vest with the ship's badge stitched carefully over her heart. The other crew members called her Little Fox because she always moved quickly, helped everyone, and never asked for anything in return. Jack, as always, watched her with quiet pride. She still called him Jack, but once, just once. She had called him Papa in her sleep. He didn't correct her. He just wiped his eyes and smiled. One morning, while repairing an old console, Jack handed her a wrench. "Here," he said. "The tight corner's yours." Arya grinned. "I was born for this." She reached in and twisted the bolt with steady hands. "You've come a long way, kiddo." She nodded. "From trash corner to tool corner." Jack laughed. "Do you miss them?" he asked gently. "Your real parents." Arya paused. "Yes, but I don't feel alone anymore." She looked up at him. "I found something here. Something I didn't think I'd ever have again." "What's that?" She smiled. "A family." That day, the Glider Fox docked at a small trade station named HARLO. On dot as the airlock opened, noise poured in. A busy port. Merchants, traders, guards. The crew began unloading cargo. Jack warned Arya to stay on board. The station was unpredictable. She obeyed but stayed close to the viewing window, watching everything with curiosity. That's when she saw her. A girl, about her age, thin, pale green skin. Wearing rags, she was holding an empty cup. Her lips moved. "Milk, please." Arya froze. The memory hit her like a wave. The cold corner, the silence, the thirst. The hope someone would listen, without a word. She ran to the galley and grabbed a pouch of milk. Then she walked down the ramp carefully into the crowd. Jack saw her from a distance. "Arya," he called out, alarmed, but he didn't chase. Her dot he watched. She knelt down before the girl. The child looked up. Startled, Eriy offered the milk pouch with both hands. The girl took it slowly and began to cry, just like she once had. Eriy sat beside her and held her hand. Jack's heart swelled when she returned. Jack was waiting. "I had too," she said softly. "I know," he replied. "You did the right thing." Carmen stepped forward. "2. She's more human than most humans I've met." Jack nodded. "She reminds me of who we're supposed to be." That night, the crew gathered in the common room. Eriy stood at the center, holding something small and shiny. It was a silver circle, her old ID tag from Jack, worn but treasured. She looked at everyone and said, "You gave me a life. I want to give it back. I want to help others like me." Silence. Then the captain stood up. "We'll support you, Eriy. Wherever this ship goes, you go too." She smiled with tears in her eyes. Later, Jack and Eriy sat on the viewing deck. Stars stretched across the sky. Eriy leaned her head on his arm. "Do you think there are more kids like me out there?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Yes, too many." "Then, we help them." Jack smiled. One milk pouch at a time. They both laughed. And above them, the stars didn't look lonely anymore.